Sunny Sweeney brings us a little sunshine today on the Music Universe podcast.
Oh man, Sunny Sweeney is a name that if you don't know her, you need to, because she has a great song called From a Table Away that we didn't get a chance to talk to her about, that I wanted to mention because we were talking about her new project with Sirius XM and her new forthcoming album called Married Alone, due September. But that's such a great country song. In this interview, she just talks so much about loving great country songs. So I wanted to throw that in there somewhere. So I'm going to do it right here.
It was a fantastic chat. She has a new show on Sirius XM called, appropriately, Sunny Side Up. It's on Willie's Saloons. The show plays music between the 1950s and the 1980s. A very interesting era in country music where we start to travel from very, very traditional to sort of outlaw Southern rock, and then kind of say lands with a thud at the urban cowboy phase that is, sort of, you either love the urban cowboy phase or you hate it, and there's no in between there. So and of course, to hear Sunny talk, she's a very, very big fan of classic country music. So this was a fun chat.
Yeah, now she can be heard weekdays from 6 a.m. to noon Eastern, and it's channel 59, and it's called Willie's Roadhouse, and that's where you hear the Grand Ole Opry all the time. And one thing we didn't get to chat with her because we kind of went a little long and had some connection issues, is she's performed on the Opry 58 times as of this recording. So that's...
Make her a member already! Opry!
There you go.
Make her a member.
So without further ado, let's just chat with Sunny Sweeney.
Sunny Sweeney, welcome to the Music Universe podcast. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, we're great, and it's a pleasure to have you. Congrats on the new Sirius XM show.
Thanks. Isn't that like so out of the blue? I don't even know. I don't think that it's set in yet. And I've already, done 2 shows now, but it is wild. I've been asked to do similar things before, and I've always said no because I didn't love the music and I would feel fake, I guess. Not fake, but just not true to myself if I were, pimping out music that I didn't love. And so when this appeared out of the blue, I jumped and didn't even think about it. I just said yes before I honestly knew even what I was getting into, because that's like that station and 60 are the two, 59 and 60 are the 2 channels I listen to all the time. So, and real country music. I mean, I love real country music.
Yeah, I know. I have a subscription. I love my first love of Sirius XM was Hair Nation. And then it moved to like Volume, so it's like the Music Talk, which Matt and I have dreamed about maybe having a show on there someday, and the Garth channel too, which plays a variety of stuff. But Prime Country is my favorite as well because of the 80s and 90s, but we get even more old school with Willie's Roadhouse, and that's kind of what you're into.
Yeah, I mean, the joke is, because I said this in an interview 100 years ago, but I said, I think they quit making good records in like 1981. And the last like really great record was Waylon Jennings Live in 1976. And which of course there's amazing records. So that's just, I'm not serious, but for me, if I had to choose one album that is my favorite album of all time, which is really hard to do, it would be that one. There's not a bad song on it. Waylon is such a beast. And it's got This Time on it. The live version of This Time, you're a musician, so you'll, like the guitar tone at the end of the song on the live version of This Time, if you go to where there's exactly 1 minute left, it is the most badass solo outro you've ever, in my opinion, that I've ever heard. So I love it.
And that's kind of rare for country music. I mean, obviously he was an outlaw, so it was more of a kind of, he did his own style of country, but you mostly hear those types of solos like in rock. So it's kind of neat to be able to go back to the 70s like that and hear cool music.
Yeah, yeah. And also his drummer, you know, he had on that live album, you can hear like the hi-hat a lot. And I always call it hi-hatitude because I love hi-hat. I sing to hi-hat, you know, the tempo, I sing to that. So
Right.
so anyway, it's kind of weird, but those two, aside from the songs, I love the hi-hat because I'm a dork, and I love the guitar tone because I'm a dork, but whatever.
Well, I mean, I'm always fascinated that non-drummers know what the parts of the drums are, because sometimes I'll just play that or play that, at least my experience playing with people. But to know the difference between that and know that that's what is driving the tempo too is just what kills me.
Well, also I stand in front of drums for a living, so I like knowing which part's annoying me. Like,
as opposed to the whole thing, it's just
kidding. I'm kidding. Drums are so significant in a sound, and I feel like, I've had some really amazing drummers and I've had some really shitty drummers. So it can make or break. They drive the entire ship basically. So if the drums are off, boy, it can go wrong real quick.
Oh, absolutely.
That's true. That is true. So tell us about the curation process. How do you decide what you're going to play? How do you decide who you're going to talk to? Tell us about the process of creating this show, Sunny Side Up.
Well, it's just a morning show with, basically just 50s to 80s country music. So just what I feel is the most selective, or, the most carefully selected songs to basically put out into the world to make hopefully a new generation of people love the songs that I've loved my entire life.
Yeah. And it airs relatively early for West Coasters, but from 6 a.m. to noon Eastern, Monday through Friday, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
4 hours a day. Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. I've turned into a vampire, trust me. So
50s through 80s country music. Is there anyone you feel from that time frame that just hasn't gotten their due and that you kind of want to focus on featuring on the show?
I honestly could. I told them when I got hired that I could play 5 days a week, the entire time, Waylon Jennings, if they would let me. And of course that idea got shot down, but I do, I don't know how to say this, but I am very much a creature of habit. And I feel like if something's not broken, then you don't need to fix it. So, if Waylon Jennings is perfect, in my opinion, I think we should just play, a lot of Waylon. But I do feel like the people that I love, that I look up to, Tammy Wynette, Loretta Lynn, Merle, Waylon, Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, the people that, sang the songs that like say something, which was pretty much all of them back in the day. They had a point to the song, a beginning, a middle, and an end, which is why I love country music from the beginning, is it tells a story and you can put yourself into the story. So in answer to your question, I feel like the people that I love, I feel like have gotten their due, definitely. But of course, there's lesser known people that I would love to, play more. Jack Green. I loved meeting him. He was so sweet, and, definitely a household name in the day, but, I want to make sure that people like that, the Opry stars especially, never lose, the fact of being known.
Mhm.
Right.
Right. And one cool quote I'm seeing from the press release is you said you never thought in your wildest dreams Willie Nelson would be your boss.
Are you kidding me right now? Like, I just cannot even, like, I can't. I don't understand. It has not set in, and it just hasn't set in. I've known who Willie Nelson was before I was born. You know what I mean? And
Oh yeah.
and I'm from Texas, so we are instilled with a little tiny chip when we're born that's like, you will love everything Willie Nelson does, like just
Right.
by nature. I mean, we just love Willie Nelson. He's a cultural icon now, but I mean, he's a music god. He's one of the greatest writers of all time, just amazing. I have a friend that actually plays bass in his band, and he's just like, it is so wild, like playing, you know what I mean? Like he goes, I'm playing for Willie Nelson. And I'm like, I feel the same way. He's my boss. Like, I've never had a boss really, but now I have a boss, So, it's just weird. It's crazy. I love it so much. Maybe it will set in eventually. I don't know.
Does he give you any tips towards your show or anything?
Oh no. I'm gonna actually, hopefully, I've met him a couple of times in passing prior to this, but I'm hoping to see him again at some point. But no, I haven't yet, at least. I hope that I get to. I would take all of his advice. Hell, I'd play him 24 hours a day if they'd let me too, or maybe just a split down the middle, like all day Mondays, Willie, all day Tuesdays, Waylon, all day Wednesdays, Willie, all day Thursdays, Waylon.
And split them up on Friday.
They have enough songs. I mean,
Oh yeah. Even songs they're not singing, they probably had a hand in writing at some point.
Totally.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember the story of Dean Dillon borrowing a lick from Crazy, or had given Willie the lick from Crazy, and he used it on a song for George Strait, and George was like, "That's the lick from Crazy," and he's like, "Yeah, no, I gave it." Dean, Dean said, "I gave it to Willie, so he won't mind."
You're kidding. I didn't know that.
Nope. That's a true story. I might have bungled it a little bit there, but that was the juxt of the story. They're working on a musical about Dean Dillon and his life, just as a quick aside. And there was a very, very early preview a few years ago when the Opry had Opry City Stage, and I was living in Manhattan, and we got invited to go, and he just played and told stories. Dean Dillon did, and he told that story about, Willie won't mind. So
that's
awesome. Crazy, man.
Oh my God.
What a writer.
So let's talk about your music, because I think the first song I heard was Drink Myself Single. And I have to tell you, I was like, okay, she's on to something. I mean, very traditional, but so freaking badass at the same time. I mean, you strike such a wonderful balance.
Well, thank you. I do love, a country song, as we've discussed. And so, my parents are divorced. And so I had my mom's house and then I had my dad's house. And at my mom's house, we listened to, Kenny Rogers and, George Strait and, Merle and Waylon and like the things that like shaped me,
Mm-hmm.
And then at my dad's, we listened to Tom Petty and Neil Young and, those types of, Crosby, Stills and Nash, like that kind of Jim Croce, all that, which would be considered rock or Americana, I guess now.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, some of Tom Petty's stuff is country, but anyway, and Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac and stuff like that. And so I feel like I got an equal, like right down the middle dose of loving country and loving rock. And I've never expressed in writing how I am influenced by the Tom Petty stuff and the Stevie Nicks stuff and all that. I've never done that because I've always just been like, trying to be the torchbearer for country music, and stay so true to myself. And, I love country and I didn't want anybody to think that I did anything else because I'm so country, blah, blah. But I just said, screw it this time. I want everyone, I have nothing to not hide, but I mean, like, I want people to know that, like, that's what made me. Like, I feel like the rock element of, Tom Petty, like Mike Campbell is my favorite guitar player. He's ridiculous. And his guitar licks shaped the way that I want guitar players in my band to play. So, and the tone that he has, I am a guitar like tone, just freak. If your tone is bad, or if someone's tone is bad and it's not beefy enough and it's just too thin, or like, there's so many things that can go wrong with guitar tone, in my opinion. But anyway, Mike Campbell's, and his guitar tone and his licks, like, that shaped how I want my band to sound. So if you have a country band with a steel player and, a badass like bass player with, and then you have the 3-part like Bakersfield harmonies and like it sounds so good. And then you have this like killer guitar player that's rock and blues and country. I feel like it adds a lot to your music. And that's honestly, that's the way that I went with this one. I split it right down the middle and I did half the songs are super, super country and half the songs are something new. And I hope that it, entertains my current fans. And I hope that, maybe people that don't like country maybe will find it or something. I don't know. Because I feel like it's so close. Like they overlap so much. All of the genres now kind of overlap. And, my grandfather was in a big band and it's called the Bill Blass Big Band. And he was the only musician, really. Well, I have a couple musician, guitar player, cousins and uncles, but he played like in a band. And he did not like country music. He made it very clear to me. And he said, but I'm going to come see you because I love you, obviously. But one night he pulled me aside and he said, he calls himself Grandpa. He talks in his third person. He said, Grandpa doesn't really like country music, but he loves Buck Owens. I was like, well, I hate to tell you, that's country music. Newsflash. Popster.
Yeah, I grew up on rock. My dad took me to my first concert, Van Halen, at 4. And out of all the times to leave, I wanted to leave in the middle of the drum solo. But he always said, you're a rocker. You're not country, you're a rocker. But he was right there to see me play every time I was playing or being my roadie. So I can relate with that. And just adding that element of rock to country just does something for me.
Me too.
And this album, Married Alone, that's coming out later this year, we're going to hear a lot more of that, I presume, with that.
Oh, I hope so. Have y'all not heard it yet?
No, I didn't get a chance to hear it.
No, we didn't get you. We just got everything yesterday, and it's been so
okay.
busy,
but you got a link to it and everything.
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay, cool. I would love for y'all to hear it. I would love for your opinion, especially if you like rock and country kind of mix,
Oh, yeah. Well, it's out September 23rd, and Married Alone, that's an interesting title. What can you explain the history of that?
So there's 12 songs on here, and 10 of them, I wrote or co-wrote, and 2 of them I did not. And the way that I choose songs that I did not write for an album, because I always want the best song. I don't care who wrote it. I don't care if you wrote it or your mom wrote it or your sister wrote it. I don't care. I just want songs that make me feel something. And so anyway, my friend sent me this song as a complete work tape, just a guitar vocal. And before I got through the song, I said, "Can I put this on hold? Like I want this song. I want it. Like this is." I had just gone through my second divorce, which is so country singer of me, I know, but I was feeling it, and why did I get divorced? You know what I mean? Like I was feeling all the reasons behind it as I was listening to this song. And I know that a lot of marriages are pretend. A lot of marriages, you are just faking it, not faking it, but like you're just like complacent and just sitting there and, blah, blah. And for whatever reason. And that's all I could think about in that song when I heard it. And so that was in April of 2019, I think, when I heard that. And I kept it on hold. And I had the writer and, the writers like text me, are you recording this? Because we're going to pitch it to other people if you're not. I was like, yes, I just don't know when I'm making a record. Please do not give this song to anyone. And so anyway, fast forward to August of 2020, we decided to go into the studio during the first year of COVID because whatever. And so we went into the studio and recorded it. And while we were in the studio, after we did the rough tracks, I just got this wild hair and said, you know what? I'm going to call Vince Gill and see if we can make this like with him singing on it too. Because his voice, I thought immediately would just peak over mine like so perfectly. And so I went outside and I called him and I fully expected him to say no, just to be clear. But he goes, hell yeah, I'll sing on it. And I was like, are you serious? He's like, hell yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I'll have my engineer send it to your engineer. He's like, cool. When? I was like, today? He goes, cool. So it just happened like really fast. And he is so special to me. I love Vince Gill. And anyway, we were having a hard time getting all the record done and things kept happening and COVID and blah and whatever. Well, then our engineer got electrocuted and lost both of his arms.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was in the hospital for a really long time. And so I just had a priority check and said, screw this, like everything's on hold. Let's just figure out that first and then we'll figure out what's going on with my music, which is so insignificant compared to a human being losing an arm and possibly being on the verge of death. Like we didn't know. And I just had an immediate priority check and I still get chill bumps. I just did when I said that. The fact that really happened is so bizarre. Anyway, so bless his heart. He's fine now, or not, not fine, I guess. Right. Is not the right word, but he's alive and he's grateful and he's amazing. And he's such an inspiration. Anyway, fast forward, we end up putting everything on hold for a year. So then we finally got the record done at the end of last year. So it's a full on, by the time it comes out, 2.5-year process. Wow. So I couldn't decide on an album title because I went through about 10 of them. And then I wanted something that encompassed everything. And I kept going through one-word titles that would be like, devastation or blah, just like all these like one-word titles. And it all sucked. Like everything I was thinking of just sucked for one reason or another. And then one of my consultants, it's one of my best people in this business that I consult with about everything. He goes, why don't you call it Married Alone? And I said, that's pretty badass. I was like, is that weird? Like, is that weird to name an album that? He goes, no. He goes, that would make me want to pick your album up. So, so I was like, it just clicked. It just clicked. And so I was like, yeah, that's it. That's the album cover. So we went back. I had already done the whole artwork for everything else. And I went back and changed the artwork, changed everything, changed the idea, changed the order, like everything changed. And now I'm thrilled with it. I'm thrilled with the fact that that's the album title. And I even had to call Vince and be like, is it okay if I make an album title a song that you're on? He's like, hell yeah. he is so agreeable. He is the nicest guy in the world. He's like, hell yeah.
Well, that would give me anxiety to just knowing that I was picking up the phone and calling someone of his stature to even answer the phone amazes me.
He is literally the most down to earth human being in this business that I know. Him actually, like, there's a couple of them, but he is, I would say, one of my 5 very, very, well-known friends that is truly the most down to earth. He is so chill, so cool,
He's got a hell of a guitar collection too.
Yeah, I've seen it. This is funny, actually. He has, a lot of guitars and stuff. And I guess this is okay if I tell this story, but I was riding with him one day and I called my dad. He like stepped out to go get a coffee or something and called my dad. And I'm like walking around, looking at all the guitars and, awards and stuff. And my dad's like, you're probably on camera right now, don't you? I was like just like nerding out over this guy's collection of stuff.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh man.
No.
Oh man.
Nothing wrong with that at all. So Matt, I know we're having some connection issues with you, but I wanted to talk about touring. You've got a slew of dates. This likely will have aired by the time most of these have occurred, but you're supporting the album, it looks like, with some dates this summer. Anything for the fall yet?
Oh yeah, we've got so the whole month of July we're gone, and then I'm back for 2 weeks, and then we go to Europe for a month. Ooh. And then we come back for 3 days, and then we have Americana Fest, and then the day Americana Fest is over, which is September 20th, we go on tour basically because that's when the record comes out. Basically, right now the dates go through the middle of December.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's a lot. I mean, we're jokingly but also seriously calling it the tour that never ends.
Well, that's a good thing because you've had a couple years off due to the pandemic.
No shit. So. That's what I keep saying too. I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. Like, sign me up. If we can work, I'm working, pal.
Well, that's fantastic. Of course, we will listen to the album. We'll do, and we'll let you know. I'm sure it's fantastic. I can't wait, and I'm sure we'll catch you. If you're doing that many dates, I'm sure you'll get somewhere near one of us.
We are actually near both of you if you're in DC and Bakersfield.
Where are you hitting in DC?
I am checking.
That'll be the City Winery.
City Winery, of course.
Okay. I don't see Bakersfield on the list yet. Are you playing the Palace, Crystal Palace?
I'm sure we will. That's where we play when we're there usually. So, but that'll be later in the fall, I think. So we'll be there for sure.
Well, I'll have to reach out and hopefully get to say hi in person.
Yeah, y'all. I mean, y'all have my info. Just hit me up. Whatever. That'd be great.
We will.
Awesome.
We will. All right, Sonny Sweeney, this was fantastic. Sorry about my issues. For whatever reason, the last couple of ones we've done, my internet's given out, and then, hi.
And Doug. Hi, Doug.
Yeah, Doug wanted to be known that he was here too, and a good boy.
Hi, Doug. Such a good boy.
Love those little dogs.
He's so sweet, y'all. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much. And I can't wait to see y'all in person.
Can't wait
Yeah,
to see you.
definitely.
Really,
Can't
really.
wait. Appreciate the conversation, and
Yep.
we'll see you down the line.
Great.
See you
See
down
y'all
the line.
soon.
Love that album title, Married Alone. Such a create such an image in your mind. You know exactly what kind of relationship that is when you hear Married Alone. Such a great name, and so fun to hear the story of how that came to be. Oh, excuse me, I'm yawning because it's hot in here.
Oh, now you're making me yawn. Don't.
such a fun story to find out how she figured out that title. Now let me ask you, when I had texted you, hey, do you have this contact information for Sunny Sweeney? I'm hearing her on the radio here in Nashville and I'm loving it. See, I always, when somebody's had a career for longer than you've known them and then we end up interviewing them, I always feel guilty that like I had my point of discovery when I had my point of discovery and not sooner. But I think that's the great thing about music is it doesn't matter when somebody became a known artist. It matters when you start to have that connection with them and the music.
Yeah, because it creates a special bond you have with them and their music. Like we chatted, as you saw, like we've known each other.
Yeah.
And we just obviously chatted. And the pro about this job is we often do get music ahead of time, but sometimes the con in some ways is we don't have enough time to really discover it before we get to chat with the artist, because it's a quick turnaround with that. And I'm excited to hear it and share our thoughts with it on perhaps a future episode where you and I can maybe just kind of review it. But you have to pick it up. It's coming out September 23rd. And that's a really cool story she told about Vince Gill joining her on this. And tour dates as of this recording are lined up through August 5th with that have been announced at least. And she said more in the fall. So you'll have to check out her website, sunnysweeney.com/tour to find out when she'll be in your area, because you're going to want to check her out.
All right. Well, for the Music Universe podcast, I'm Matt.
And I'm Buddy. Thanks for listening and watching. And be sure to check us out at themusicuniverse.com for the latest news, reviews, and more. And be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and share button at the Music Uni and tmupod.com, where you can hear more of these episodes. Take care.